Namaskar. Welcome to this English edition of PGurus Monday Ask Sumit session. What we are going to discuss today is a lot of things, and you can ask all your questions you have. The first thing is there's a very clear-cut situation now. Europe versus Russia. That is the new dimension of the war. It's no longer Ukraine versus Russia. It's Europe versus Russia. Who is putting Europe on the war path? What does Europe want to achieve? Who are the people behind this disaster in Europe? And what does Macron try to do? Is Macron's political compulsions made him so incapable of taking the right decisions? And who is going to take the bait? And who is going to fire the bullet? And who is going to have the shield? There are a lot of questions which have come up with this revelation and this madness which is happening in Europe. By the way, what is the future of NATO? Now Americans are saying we are exiting NATO, we are exiting UN. Yes, we are exiting NATO, we are exiting UN. So where is NATO? NATO is become a dinosaur, a relic of the dinosaur era, I believe. Hamas is in PoK. Israel is asking India to act and really be decisive about this, because remember on PGurus channel we talked about it I think 2 weeks back when we said Hamas is in PoK. It's a major concern for India, and there was an attack in Jammu after that. Now, Afghanistan and Pakistan are fighting. The major borders, the Turkmen border, is closed and thousands of trucks are stranded. Now, the Pakistani says Afghanistan starts. What is the reason behind it? What is the logic behind it? Now, in Balochistan, Balochistan is proving to be a burial for Pakistani army, but that is not new. The new is what is the brass of Balochistan that is threatening the top brass of Pakistan, and why is Rana Sanaullah rattled, and why is Pakistan shaking? There's something called the brass of Balochistan. We're going to talk about it. So you have to hold on with us. I'll hand over to Mr. Iyer. Then after 5 or 10 seconds, we're back again.
Thank you so much, Sumit-ji. And viewers, this is a very interesting situation that has developed. It's now confirmed that Ukraine had signed a deal with UK, 100-year deal, before Zelensky even showed up at White House at his own invitation. He wanted to come and see. See, this has been an elaborate, guys, and I think United States knew that Zelensky has signed something with UK, 100-year agreement of all things. And so now the way out is something slightly outside of all this stuff. And I'm going to show a 1-minute shorts in just a few minutes. Let's first go to the main thing. After you finish your part, just give me a second. I'll play a 1-minute short on the way out, because there has to be a way out. Over to you.
Sir, thank you very much. In the name of Bhagwan Sree Ganesha, let's do the Sree Ganesha of today's vlog. Look, this thing are very clear. It was a situation which was brewing. You know what happened in the White House. You know what J.D. Vance did. You know what Trump said. And then you know what the US NSA told Zelensky: kindly move out. I would not say get out, kindly move out. Now, after that, Zelensky reaches UK. It's an 8-hour flight, typically from America to UK. And when he reaches UK, Mr. Keir Starmer is hugging him outside 10 Downing Street, a residence of his. And they are like those fallen brothers, and they're having all the love. There was no need of a hug on the road. This could have been done inside the office. There was symbolism inside it. And immediately it is announced that $2.88 billion of money which UK has made because it has frozen Russian assets, the interest or the profits out of that will be given to Zelensky to make weapons which will be used to kill Russians. And the best part of it is, incidentally, it looks like a mockery. The Ukrainian finance minister is already there, and the British finance minister, they get together and they sign the deal. So even the deal is ready, the money is ready, everything is ready within 8 hours. So it's like a drama, it's like a play which has been where every part of the screenplay, where every scene was written. This all hugging and all this happened. Now with this, you are putting salt on the wounds of Putin. You're using Putin's money, giving it to Zelensky, say, okay, make weapons and kill them. But the fact remains, if you look at the time, the Zelensky will make these weapons, and the weapons will be used to kill Russians. It's never going to happen. You don't have that kind of a time. So it is a provocation for Putin. What Zelensky was doing at the White House, he was provoking Trump and Venice. So this is a clearly written plot. Go and provoke either Trump, provoke either Putin. They stop talking to each other, and the business as usual continues. Our war machine and our machinery of death and destruction continues. That is what the bigger game plan seems to me. The things do not stop here. suddenly all of the European Union start having leaders start having solidarity with Vladimir Zelensky, and the meetings which I held, the things are being talked, the European unity and all is being talked. But let me give you one small comparison. If you look at the combined arsenal of Europe put together, the European Union all put together, is still no match to the Russian firepower. Even entire Europe put together is no match to the Russian firepower. And forget the nukes. And I'm going to come to the nukes. Nukes is a very important part of it. So it's no match to the even Russian firepower. Now Putin has been very silent. He's kind of holding his horses back. But in the meanwhile, the things have spun out of the control. There was an important meeting held. There was seminars and sessions held, wherein it was decided that Europe needs to think of its own security and needs to break free from America providing it the security, which was basically coming free of cost and at peanuts. Now, so-called Europeans and their security is as following. Now, something very, very dramatic, something very, I don't want to use the word idiotic has happened, wherein Macron steps in and says, in this European so-called security umbrella, we are ready to give and share our nukes with the people to make a combined deterrence. It looks like a Pakistan kind of a statement, wherein Pakistan says, my Islamic bomb is to protect all these Muslims of the world and protect all the Islamic countries of the world, while in practicality, there's no such scenario. I mean, Macron has really lost it. France has really gone crazy, and Marine Le Pen, who is the far right, I've not said right, what she rightly says, far not a non-left leader, has stepped in and she said, Mr. Macron, have you lost your senses? The nuclear deterrence of France is for the protection of France, not for the protection of the people of the European Union. The nuclear weapons were not made for that. And incidentally, in the whole of Europe, there are only two countries which are nuclear. That is England and France. Both have very bad economies, rightly. And Germany doesn't have nuclear weapons. It has some vintage, some World War II or after that, some nuclear arsenals which Americans left with it, and a very old vintage fleet which can deliver it. So practically the only two countries which have the nuclear assets. And the nuclear assets of these two countries put together are some 549. I mean, Germany, UK and France. And the known nuclear assets which Putin holds today are more than 7,000. 7,000. And if you talk about 𝗤𝗏, which Putin displayed, you can take out UK in 17 minutes, you can take out France in 15, and you can take out the Brussels in 3 minutes. And it is a MIRV, hypersonic, and can carry multiple warheads. It is unstoppable missile, and Putin has a lot of such things in his pocket. Now, this is really, really going absurd. Now, when the whole war started, now instantly the NATO chief jumps in. He says, yeah, this looks to be a good idea and all that, because increasingly NATO is getting irrelevant. If you remember, when the war started, there was a lot of talk on the YouTube, there was a lot of talk on the TV, where they were telling us, oh, what happens if Russia retaliates with nukes? Now, I was always maintaining one thing, that there is no, NATO does not have a nuclear command and control. NATO doesn't have nuclear weapons. There are only 3 countries which have nuclear weapons in NATO: Americans, Britishers, and French. America is not willing to do it because they don't want to have the Russian retaliation coming back to you. So who will take the Russian retaliation? Will French take the Russian retaliation, or will England take the Russian retaliation? Because if you give nukes to NATO, or if you make this some kind of a European umbrella, nuke umbrella, deterrence, whatever, because Putin knows if you have to hit, he's not going to go and hit Croatia, he's not going to go and hit Latvia or Estonia, he's going to hit UK and he's going to hit France in the return. Now, are the people of UK and the people of France ready to sacrifice their lives, to sacrifice their livelihoods, and sacrifice their existence for a comedian, for a TV comedian who always, had this fancy of becoming a president? Or the leaders of Europe completely compromised or sold out? That is a bigger question which is hitting my mind, because this is going to, kind of get things out of control. Because even with the NATO never had the nuclear weapons. NATO could never have the nuclear weapons. This was not conceived when the NATO was made. So France, and if UK wants to give out its nuclear weapons and use them or distribute them in the Europe, by the way, the new elected leader of Germany who has come to the power says it's a good idea, and Ukraine and France should even distribute these nuclear weapons physically. So I don't know where the Europe is heading to. I don't know what is going to happen with the Europe and where the Europe is going to. And this has really, really irritated President Trump. Now, what does President Trump say? After all these fiascos happening and all these crazy Alice in Wonderland ideas happening, I am really pitying Macron. I had a great respect for this leader, but after this fiasco, I'm really pitying him. You can't be running with the hare and hunting with the hounds, Mr. Macron. And incidentally, what the Trump has said, he said, okay, if UK and France want to fight Putin, go ahead and do it. Because Trump knows the combined military power of Europe is no match to the military power and the experience Russians have. And there are a lot of things which Putin has never unleashed. And he knows without American intelligence and without American tech and without American assets on the ground and American defense systems, Europe combinedly cannot handle Russia. And that is exactly what Zelensky is trying to do. Now, Zelensky is trying to get Europe dismantled, eliminated, or destroyed, I think. And European leaders are playing ball with that and are playing ball in a erratic and a crazy way, which is behind comprehensible intellect and intelligence of the common man. And remember, what did Trump and Putin say when they first talked? Common sense. And what is missing here is the common sense. It's goddamn common sense, which is completely missing. You want to destroy Europe? You want Europe to be the next nuclear war, where a nuclear war will happen. And that is why Trump always told Zelensky, stop playing your bloody games. You will put world on the edge of a World War III. And what is going to happen? If such a scenario happens, do you think China is going to do nothing? China will try to take full advantage of it. And by the way, do you think Islamists are going to just be sleeping or in hibernation? They're waiting for this opportunity to happen. The first thing that will happen, the France will break within. There'll be no France. You will have Islamists which will run rampage. You will have Islamists running through France, whacking through France. There's a lot of Muslim population in Brussels. There's a lot of Muslim pockets everywhere. Remember last time when there was such an event, Muslims really holded the France to its knees. France was really on the knees of 9% of the population. Now these pockets are everywhere. And push comes to shove, all pockets will be activated. There's a big Muslim Ummah at work who will activate all this. So these countries will have two problems in Europe. One, you're fighting Putin, and one, you're within yourself, you're fighting your wars within your own. And that will be the end of Europe, with your aging population, with your depleting arsenal, with your failing economies, your failing banks. And don't forget, all your money is parked in China. And if China goes down, you are anyway dead. You don't have even money to pay pensions. You will not have money to pay electricity and water. That is the position of Europe. And then Putin says, Trump says, okay, you want to fight Putin? Go ahead and do it. I am not there. And before I hand it over to sir, one last sentence I want to say. Now, incidentally, there's one more development. There are a lot of Republicans which have come up in open and said, look, Mr. President, it's time we exit NATO. It's time we exit United Nations. And echoing their voices, Elon Musk. Look, Elon has a very powerful say in the government. Whatever you like him or not, he has a say. Elon Musk says, I am seconding the people that let's go and leave United Nations and leave NATO. And Trump is saying, look, I have to be bothered about these immigrants, these mass murderers, the people who are trying to bring down America, fentanyl, crystal meth, so many problems. I don't want to go and fight Putin in Europe. If you want to go and fight Putin, go and do it. Go and fight Putin, go and fight Zelensky. So world is coming to a very, very dangerous crossroads. And these kind of absurd statements and this kind of hypocrisy, this kind of failed beliefs and this kind of jingoism wherein people are not looking within and they are just trying to, go crazy and ballistic is really depleting the world. Which is where that's what said, migrants, gangs, drugs, slaughters, murders, and women, so that we don't end up like Europe. That is what Putin says. I mean, that's what Trump says. It's very clear. Putin has kept his cards to his chest, and Putin has the arsenal which can dismantle Europe. It will take him minutes to dismantle Europe. And do the people of France and Europe and UK, do you want your next generations to be face something what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Do you want your next generations to be diminished and perished because you have a failed comedian trying to become a hero? Do you want to die the death of the Ukrainians because the war has not at your door? Your leaders are trying very hard. Macron and Starmer is trying very hard to get or buy the war. I would say he's trying very hard to buy the war. What are the motivations? Who is paying them? Who has bought them over? Who has sold them over? This concept of sharing nukes is atrocious. If there's an attack somewhere on Ukraine, so what is UK going to do? Give a nuke to Ukraine and say, okay, put it on mainland Russia. What do you think Putin will do? Putin will send a nuke to Russia? No, he will send two nukes. He will send one to UK, he will send second to Zelensky. Now, where are the people of UK? What is happening in Europe? Have your leaders been complete sellouts? Have they lost the sense of balance? Is nothing called as a common sense in Europe? Have you all kind of overlived your utility? or are you too much busy in the Amsterdam business? That is what I would say. I'll hand over to Sree sir at a point and I'll come back again. Sir.
Thank you so much, Sumit. A couple of things that I would like to touch upon. Today, there was another automobile accident where the driver rolled over people, at least one dead in Germany. So this is going on a regular basis. And we will find out who the person is and so on and so forth in the next few hours. Very, very sad when this thing happens. But let's take a step back. Whatever happens forward, moving forward, Zelensky, according to the constitution of Ukraine, does not have the power, because after 5 years, the position has to be re-elected for. And 5 years have come and gone. So right now, he is living on borrowed time, which is what, in a comical way, Trump mentioned as he is behaving like a dictator. That's what it is. There was another reason for that. He has shut down all opposition parties. He's been jailing opposition candidates. So there is something more going on to Zelensky than what we saw at the outset of the war. So let's just keep it aside. Also remember, viewers, in most democracies, it's not a single individual that says that, okay, I hereby speak for the country. It never is that way. There is usually some sort of a governing council, or in parliamentary democracies like the one that exists in United Kingdom or India, the cabinet has to approve. The cabinet has to approve, which is why the resolution that Nehru put in United Nations was not approved by the cabinet for the Kashmir, which is why India can just say that this is not approved by the cabinet and we just withdraw it. Don't do anything else. Quietly withdraw it. Why I'm saying is that body has to approve, which means elected body, majority opinion, democracy prevail. So I had suggested something in a shorts. Let's just 1 minute long. Let's just take a look at it. This is one way to solve a problem like Zelensky. He says now that he's ready to sign the deal. Already 3 times he has said just that and then walked away from it. What is the way out? We do want the war to stop. So one suggestion is it's up to the Parliament of Ukraine and also the Supreme Court of Ukraine to do this thing. I would say go back and look at Ukrainian constitution, see what the constitution says. If the members of parliament can still hold on to their jobs, maybe the members of parliament should take a vote on whether Ukraine should sign this deal. And if so, then also they need to take the advice of their Supreme Court to find out who they can elect as the person who can sign on behalf of Ukraine. I think the United States may not really take Zelensky's word for it now. And this might be one way out of this impasse. That way, it's a face-saving gesture, and it takes Zelensky out of the equation. I'm not saying that he should be impeached right now, but in the absence of Zelensky and having somebody else to essentially get nominated to sign on behalf of the country, that might be a way out of the situation. Let's wait and see how this plays out. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Correct. You made
because you have to undo this 100-year thing also. The 100-year deal was between Ukraine, that Zelensky, and this Starmer. And now the defense minister has signed the deal for the $2.8 billion aid. Defense Minister of Ukraine. So they are all doing it based on 1-2-1-1-1, that kind of stuff. These have to be resolved. They have to be adopted as resolutions. It's not a joke, because by signing this thing, what has UK done? UK has also made a huge blunder, in my opinion. You froze Russian assets. You're supposed to be keeping them frozen until there is some sort of a resolution, and you take that money out of there so that you don't hurt yourself and then give it to the... What right do you have?
What is your
right do you have?
Yeah, correct. And
it's a mess. People are, see, Sumit, this is a clear-cut deep state play. City of London is the deep state. City of London is sitting inside the city of... See, there is London, of which Sadiq Khan is the mayor. There is a small square called City of London, which is where, the Lord Mayor of London is the guy who sits in that. He actually comes to the parliament. He also observes all the, proceedings there. That is your representative of deep state. These people have a different agenda. They are doing scorched earth policy, in my opinion, right now, Sumitji. Very, very sad. Trump is handling it very, very maturely right now. And I think that's what he's going to wait. This has to be done clearly because it has to be a sovereign agreement. A sovereign agreement is an agreement between countries. The leaders don't matter.
Correct. You're right, sir.
Over to you. Over to you.
Now, what, I'll basically start where Sree sir left. There are 2 or 3 developments which have happened more. Sree sir makes a very compelling point because look, the agreement is not between me and you. It has been my country and your country. Does my country give me sufficient powers to represent my country? Or does your country have the sufficient powers given to you to represent your country? So if there are no powers, it's like Rahul Gandhi's MOU with Chinese Communist Party. So it's something like that. Now, there are 2 things here. Now, what Europeans are coming with what is the way forward? Europeans are talking of a peace plan. What is the European peace plan? European peace plan is, let's have a 1-month temporary truce between Russia and Ukraine, and then let's try to have a negotiation between Europe and Zelensky and Trump and try to solve this problem. And in the meanwhile, Macron says there will be no European troops on the ground in Ukraine protecting Ukrainian soil. But will Putin agree to it? Putin will not agree to it. You cannot impose a 1-month ceasefire, because if I am Putin, how do I look at? I look at, you're using this 1 month to arm Zelensky. You're using this 1 month to get him supplies, get him things and all that. And by the way, 2 important things have come in. Now the Russians have claimed that there was one, I think, Norwegian or Panamanian cargo ship which was taking weapons from Britain to Zelensky, and Russians 2 Iskander missiles down the sea. The ship is down the sea, gone. So that, and Russians are tight-lipped about it, and Ukraine is murmuring some voices. So what you are talking about, Starmer, is not the thing. We can see, if I can see through it, Putin is 100 times smarter than me. He can see through it. You are using this time just to rearm and facilitate this war, to get all the weapons together and have the weapons procured, weapons made, because your replacement of capability of weapons is much slower than what you can make. So that is point number 1. In the meanwhile, some Norwegian companies have come in and they say, we are not going to give the crude oil or their oil supplies to the US Navy. This is our retaliation, how we fight as United Europe. And there's one more European arms manufacturer who makes his NASAMS. He said, I'm going to set up a plant in Ukraine. Now, I want to ask him this, my man, one question. Are you insane? Have you lost your head? Even if I want to tomorrow set up a missile making plant in Ukraine, it will take me 2 years, 3 years. Does Ukraine have 3 years for your missiles to come? And then with your NASAMS, can you stop Obrisk? Or you don't know what Putin has off his sleeve? Putin has thousands of missiles made. They are ready. I don't know what the hell is our Europeans lost. And everybody is now trying to be a part of the circus and to get TRP out of it. How do I get my TRP? How do I get my media bites? How do I become a global media player? That is what is happening. Now, so this is what because we have lost already, we have gone 22 minutes. So now I have to move from here to next topic. What is the future of NATO? The future of NATO is uncertain. I think NATO and United Nations are a thing of the past. If United States of America exits them, I don't think there is enough scope left. The world is getting multipolar and everybody is on his own. And that is what I've been warning even my government and trying to put a word of caution to the people in the echelons of power, that at the end of the day, India is on its own. So Shastra Bal and Sanabal, that is the army, and the firepower is something which is non-compromisable, and we have to go all out to acquire weapons and do whatever we need to take, because look, nobody is going to come and fight you a war. And China is your biggest adversary, Pakistan is your adversary, and all the 2-3 Muslim countries around, push comes to shove, they will rally with China to work against India and attack India. If this kind of a drama can happen in the civilized, pada-likha Christian world, where the people are literate and intellectuals and liberals, forget the Islamic world. Islamic world just needs one dog whistle and everything can go out of proportion. So this is a rare warning. So NATO is over, UN is over. So let's call it a day. I think it's a matter of time. I think Trump exited WHO. It's a matter of time he'll exit these 2. Now after that, let's come to the next topic, which is Hamas and PoK. Now, this Dr. 𝗥𝗙𝗏𝗏 𝗢𝗏𝗏, I think that was his name. He was in PoK, and Iran let him pass through. He's Iran's representative of Hamas, and he came to Pakistan. So Pakistanis let him come in, Iran let him pass, go to Pakistan. There's a big song and dance, those bikes and cars and on horse-mounted people carrying those AKs and with this La ilaha written on their head and all that. They were welcoming it. They went to a stadium. They talked about this solidarity, jihad and all. And that point of time, we want that, we are seeing that Hamas is reaching our borders. Hamas is reaching LOC. Hamas will be reaching international border because in Jammu, the nearest international border what we have is in Jammu. Elsewhere we have LOC. From LOC to towns is still a distance, but from Jammu, mainland Jammu to the international border, there's hardly any difference. And there are places like 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 where the border is hardly 2-3 kilometers away. It's like a crow's flight. So when these people have access to that, there's something which is worrying. And I think our authorities must have taken a note of it. And we have tried to make a lot of hue and cry around it. And you, as usual, we watch out for national interests on PGurus channel, and we don't miss an opportunity to highlight one. Now, after that, there was a couple of attacks in Jammu, which we had predicted that this is going to happen because they want to send us a message and they want us to get their, presence felt. And it is a corridor of jihad, which will start from Syria, which will start from Egypt, and now all the way it is coming to Jammu. So it's a very cautious point. I have raised it on this platform, other platforms, even on TV. You have a corridor of jihad starting from Egypt. It's Fatah al-Sisi. Egypt coming all the way from Middle East and coming to our borders in Jammu. So this is something which India has to worry about. India has to be concerned about. And this is, I would say, this is consortium or this is a joint venture of international jihadis which is happening. Iran used to be the deterrence. Now Iran is no longer the deterrence. Let's forget it. 𝗤𝗏 is gone. Investment is gone. 2 billion trade with Iran does not help you. Iran is letting these jihadis pass through. Iran is letting these jihadis pass through. This international consortium of jihad has taken shape. Now Israelis have told us we have to be very careful about Hamas in PoK. And what Israel wants us, which I support, they said we should ban Hamas because as per our UAPA guidelines, as per our banned list of organizations where Al-Qaeda and all are banned, Hamas is not banned. So there's a pressure from US government, and very soon this pressure will come from Donald Trump as well, that kindly ban Hamas and declare them as a terrorist organization. So their affiliates, their associates, all their right and left and center in India has to be taken care of. And by the way, there is one more problem which is brewing in India. Taliban needs to take all their ideological guidance from Deoband. And there is one most dangerous organization which is banned in most of the Muslim countries, and wherein these all Salafis take their affiliation from, that is called 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏 Jamaat. And the headquarters of 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Jamaat is in Delhi. Yes. You remember the infamous Maulana Saad during COVID? He's the 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Jamaat guy. So there is Deoband, there is 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Jamaat, and there is now Hamas knocking at Jammu borders. These are the three, I won't mince my words, these are the three developments which are happening and hitting India at a very fast level. And all these organizations at the end of the day are basically connected. They might wear the colors of blue, green, and gray. It's me wearing a blue kurta on a Monday or a red kurta on a Sunday. But it's the same Sumit P. It doesn't matter, right? It's all colors, right? Sumit is same. That is how the international consortium of jihad works. They're all the same. They might have shapes, colors, and forms, but at the end of the day, ideology is one. And you know what is the ideology. And with China giving them the money, arsenal, and ganging them up against India, I think this is a serious security threat which we have to really think over, mitigate, and play our cards well, which we are doing. But I'm very sure after Israel telling us explicitly there's a credible teeth to our logic where we said that this is a major security concern and must be highlighted. Not only that, there's one more dimension to it, which we're going to talk about. Now, Pakistan knows it is losing Balochistan. Pakistan knows they will lose KPK. Pakistan knows it's going out of their control. What will Pakistan do to prevent this situation? Pakistan will do anything to prevent this situation, is to ferment trouble in India, bring that euphoria, bring that Hindu-Muslim thing, bring that anti-Hindu, anti-India sentiment, and get the people united. We are doing some kind of a jihad, and inshallah we are going to win tomorrow. That is how the logic in Pakistan works. Hindi mein kehte hain mazhab ka churan bechna. They'll sell the churan in the name of Islam and try to galvanize their people and ask them to forget about their beti and roti issues. They will not have bread to eat, and they will not, and their daughters are literally getting taken away by people. But that they will want to override that by saying that Hindu jihad 𝗥𝗍𝙖 Hind, that is what they will try to do. That is the logical Pakistani way of thinking. Now, what is happening in Pakistan? By the way, in Pakistan, and I was told that we have to conclude today fast. So, in Pakistan and Afghanistan, there are 2-3 major crossings. One is Turkam, there is Chaman and all. Turkam has been closed for 1 week. Afghanis try to build some posts. Pakistan is opposed to it. Monday, Pakistan is saying that Afghanistan has started using tanks, heavy artillery, and automatic machine guns. They are firing on Pakistans. In Pakistan, Pakistanis have at least reported 2 casualties, and the border is crossed. What does border crossing mean? Afghanistan is landlocked. If you have to move things out of Afghanistan, you have to go to Karachi. From Karachi, you have to use trucks. So if the trucks get stuck at the both sides of the border, you have a problem. The business between Afghanistan and Pakistan stops, and between Pakistan and Afghanistan stops, and there is no way Afghanis are going to have access to the Karachi. Now, is Pakistan using, and by the way, there is no 𝗟𝗏𝗏 port. 𝗟𝗏𝗏 is gone. There's no 𝗟𝗏𝗏 port. There's no alternate route. Don't dream of that. There's no alternate route. So is Pakistan using or provoking this violence so that these major border crossings get crossed or get over, and the game of Afghanistan becomes very, very difficult for them to handle? Second thing, is Afghanistan using these trucks, which are all run by Afghans and Pashtuns, to arm the insurgent groups within Pakistan and give them all the supplies and logistics? That is a possibility. So suddenly this Pakistan-Afghanistan war is turning to be a big nightmare, and a lot of hidden agendas are there. And let's not forget, 𝗏𝗍𝗏𝗏 had visited and met Taliban a couple of days, 2 weeks back. What happened after that? We didn't hear from him, but something is happening there. 𝗏𝗍𝗏𝗏 was there. It was a reason, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 did not waste his time, though they were making memes about each other, but that's a different issue. Now here, from Pakistan, Afghans, we have to go to Balochistan. Kalat, Balochistan. BLA has told that they have done a major attack on the Pakistan army, and according to the Arab news, there are only few casualties, 7, 8, or 3 or 2, we don't know the number, and some are injured. A woman suicide bomber is being used for this purpose, and BLA has used women suicide bombers before. Remember the 26-year-old girl who was a doctor and who ramped into a army cantonment of Pakistan in the Balochistan area and dismantled a lot of people and got a lot of people killed. So BLA's history of using women suicide bombers is quite often. The army convoy of Pakistan army was going, it was attacked, and we don't know the casualties yet. BLA is saying we are setting up major news. So a major attack has happened, but Pakistan will try to play it down. And as I've told you that, last year I gave you the numbers. I mean, for first 2 months, there are around 12 people are getting killed in Pakistan every day. Pakistan army, police, and the ISI. That is the number which is officially out. I gave you in the last episode. So looking at that, so anything below 15 they will not report, but it's a big attack which Balochistan has made public. Now there's another important development in Balochistan. There are 2 things which you have to talk today. The development in Balochistan is something called brass. The brass of Balochistan has threatened the brass of Pakistan. No, it is not the metal brass. Brass is an organization where all the factions, BLA, BLF, Balochistan Revolutionary Guard, and there are a few other organizations which have come together. They had a 3 days meeting, and after 3 days meeting, they have concluded that they have to work jointly, and this brass will split the area, they'll split the command, they'll split the structure, there'll be a combined effort, and this combined effort will be directed against 2 people. Pakistani army and the Chinese interests, which the second part makes me more happy. The Chinese people and the Chinese interests. So these people have got together. And in this time, there's one important development which I am very happy to inform, and I have been kind of looking forward to that news. Sindhu Desh army is also part of brass. Now, we were saying always in Sindhu Desh, there's not a lot of activity. Sindhu Desh is silent. The Sindhu Desh army is not able to do a lot of things. Now, with this new brass, which is Baloch and Sindhu Desh army, and by the way, these Baloches already have an agreement with TTP. So we can be looking at 3 dimensions of the problem. Brass officially covers all Balochistan, BLA, BLF, Revolutionary Guards, and here they also cover the Sindhu Desh army. Now, this group will have some kind of arrangement with Tehrik-e-Taliban in KPK, which they have been already jointly working. Now, what are the new strategies? The new strategies is to infiltrate Pakistan army, Pakistan intelligence, find Pakistani logistic routes, check their vulnerability, have targeted attacks, guerrilla attacks, and dismantle all whatever is left of Pakistan in Balochistan. Today, Pakistan only has maybe 20-25% control in Balochistan. Get rid of that. And of course, Gwadar port and airport are their number one agenda. They can't let that go to China. So when this happens, Chinese CPEC is gone. All the Chinese assets, whichever are standing as on date, in whichever condition, as a matter of time, they'll be all dismantled. No Chinese engineer, no Chinese person, no Chinese affiliated work can happen there. Last time, remember, BLF set fire on all the equipment of even Pakistanis who were working for China. So elimination of Chinese and Chinese people is there. But even if you're a Pakistani contractor and you want to do a road for, let's say, CPEC or whatever, you and your arsenal, your equipment, will be kind of eliminated, and you can even be eliminated if you don't mind your ways. So this brass is giving really shivers to the Pakistani establishment, and Rana Sanaullah, the ex-foreign minister, internal affairs minister of Pakistan, has said that, look, this is a very important development, and this comes after Maulana Dsl. Maulana Dsl already said that as 6-7 provinces which can declare independence any day, UN will support them. Now Rana Sanaullah says, and Rana Sanaullah is a prominent person in the Pakistani politics. He says, look, it's a matter of time. We might leave Balochistan. We might lose Balochistan, because this formation of brass does not only get these warring factions together, it also gets Sindhu Desh involved. Sindhu Desh means Sindh. Sindh means Karachi. The only lifeline of Pakistan is Karachi. I have been telling you, and I've been telling very clear, if you want to choke Pakistan, get control, Baloch brothers, get control of Karachi. You take over Karachi, Pakistan will tumble in 10 days. You don't have to fight even. Just get hold of the Karachi port, Pakistan is over. Or destroying Karachi port. And by the way, the sea is already eating up a lot of Karachi. The sea has started coming and eating up a lot of Karachi, which is a good thing. And in the meanwhile, Taliban have also activated their people. Taliban are also carrying on their attacks. And with this fiasco going between Pakistan and Afghanistan, the retaliation which is going to come from 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗏 on the Pakistani land. So you will have Pakistan facing 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗏. You will have Pakistan facing this new brass. And you will have Pakistan having the good news of having now Sindhu Desh as a part of the gambit. So it's going to be interesting how it turns up. And one more development in Pakistan, that the IMF team has arrived. And the team is going to be there for 2 weeks. And the first 1 billion was given. Now the team is going to come and assess and check the development, how the Pakistani government has fared. And if the team is convinced that there are enough reforms and there are enough revenues and the Pakistani government has been able to deliver the goods, they might give them 1 billion more. Otherwise, hasta la vista baby. And with the fiasco happening in Pakistan. So Pakistan has new baap. Hindi mein kehte hain, they have a new baap, new papa. The new papa is called IMF. The papa comes and he checks how is the kiddo doing. And if the kiddo is doing well, so the minister, the Mantri of Pakistan, the ministers, those people, the bureaucrats of Pakistan, you know who's their new baap, who's their new boss? The new baap or the new boss is IMF, because I'm the IMF. You have to tell me what is your progress. Give me your progress report. If I'm convinced your progress report, I might take out. Okay, keep it. I'm coming after 1 month. Show me what you have done. So this is how much. So literally, if I can say today, the sovereignty of Pakistan is mortgaged to IMF. The IMF decides what happens in Pakistan, what doesn't happen in Pakistan. IMF will decide, will Pakistan survive or not, with this brass happening, with Chinese. And by the way, I kind of compliment Baloch people for one thing. I know a lot of them watch this. Because, look, I have been telling you, if you want your area to be protected, you have to protect the loot of your resources. And that is exactly what the joint statement had today. There's a loot of natural resources of Pakistan, which is carried by China. Alhamdulillah. Perfect. This is exactly the statement which you should be making. Because the loot of Pakistan, your resources, is not carried out by Pakistan. It is carried out by China, and Pakistani army is facilitating that. So if you want your future generations not to be deprived upon what belongs to you, you don't have to only hit Pakistan army. That is a facilitator. The end game is with China. If you don't dismantle China and Chinese interests within Pakistan, within Balochistan, these people will keep on siphoning your wealth. That is what they're good at. So it's a good move that they've identified the enemies, and they say Chinese have been looting our resources and will not let this loot and plunder of the resources of Balochistan happen, and the exploitation of Balochistan's resources happen, which is a very good thing. So China is in big trouble. Kiss goodbye to OBR and BRI and whatever. So that is how it is happening. In the meanwhile, Pakistani politicians don't know what to do. They are living for week after week and seeing some magic happens. And last important thing is, if there's a war between Israel and Iran, or America or Iran, Pakistanis would have to fight for Israelis, for Americans, kill Muslims of Iran, and find a way how to justify this as a jihad. So the mullahs of Pakistan are today given a task. Push comes to shove, and we have to give Iranis, how do you make it look as a jihad? So these people are doing the brainstorming. How do we make it look as jihad? Though it's a paid jihad, but we have to make it look as a legitimate jihad. So that is the biggest dilemma of Pakistan. How to make paid jihad look as a legitimate jihad. This is what is happening in Pakistan. I had more to say, but the clock is ticking, so I'll hold myself here.
Thank you so much. And now let's take a few questions.
Ji.
Venkat Rangaji wants to know, Namaskar, has Zelensky burnt his bridges with US and now going for support from Europe that itself isn't comfortable? Is this relations with US still salvageable?
I think the relations with US can be salvageable, but at a very, very heavy cost now. And I have one thing. Zelensky gave, and I didn't want to bring it up, but Ranga sir asked, so I'm bringing it up now. Zelensky gave an interview to a news portal in somewhere in Middle East, and he said, look, if anybody thinks Zelensky is replaceable or he can be replaced, let me tell them it is impossible. So what Sree sir, you were telling, he's saying that I am not replaceable. I'm already standard. I'm above everybody. Now, when people reach that stage and you have a very, very badass enemy called Putin, things can go bad with you. Now, personally, I feel Zelensky might get into some major trouble personally, because you cannot hold the world peace salvage to the whims and fancies of one man who thinks he's above the god. So let's see what happens to Zelensky. Now, Zelensky has become a highly valued target. I will end my statement there.
Next one, please. 𝗤𝗂𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍 𝗏𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍, sorry about that. There is union within the EU. There is not union. I think there is disunity. I think that's what she's trying to say. Macron speaks one thing and Starmer speaks one thing. Other than France and UK, other EU countries have negligible military strength. Bankruptcy guaranteed.
I mean, I agree with you. And what 𝗟𝗏𝗻𝗏 last time gave us a data, he said that there's a country called Luxembourg and they have 939 people in their army. So they can definitely fight Putin. So they are a country with 939 troops in the army. They can definitely fight Putin. Putin is scared of Luxembourg. So you might have 32 countries and all. When I did a military assessment of them, they combined together, I gave you some other numbers, cannot handle Russia. So with that things and with their failing economies and no natural resources, by the way, any of these countries, France, Germany and UK, they don't have natural resources like Putin has. Putin is full of natural resources. He has trillions of dollars of mineral wealth under him, and he has already offered Trump, come and take the minerals and give me the money. So these countries, I don't know how we are going to find a fuel the war. Their interest rates are high, their foreign exchange are depleting, and their all the wealth, whichever they have acquired by their forefathers, for example, in UK, by plunder and looting the world and taking $45 trillion from us. Where is that money? It's not in UK now. It is on the whims and fancies of Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping has already looted and plundered and distributed that money across the world. So the money which was looted from us is not with UK, is not even with China today. It is distributed on all the fancy products of Xi Jinping in the world. This money is unrecoverable. The amount of pension fund money of Europe and all other funds money in China is unrecoverable as on date.
Thank you. Next question, please. Akshay Ayer says UK uses American Trident missile for its nuclear delivery. Okay, I think he's just making a statement. Thank you.
Yeah. But you know, sun never sets in the British Empire, or maybe the champagne is has too much of alcoholic content in it. Maybe I have a champagne and it gives me the kick of a desi daru. So I can make wrong statements there. Who the person I mentioned.
𝗤𝗂𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍 is saying EU is a divided house and a sinking ship. Other than France and the UK, others have negligible military strength. Have Macron and Starmer on a mission to bankrupt their countries? I think you said the same thing before, 𝗤𝗂𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍. Muthukumar Sundaram says, PGurus, aren't we Bharat capable of firewalling our economy and society now? This is not suggesting to be like ostrich buried under sand. The idea is minimize the collateral damage Bharat. Well, Muthu Kumarji, see, these kind of flagrations will lead to energy crises. That's where the problem is. And India is still a big, big importer. I mean, you may have a 20-year deal with Qatar, but if every, every tanker that comes across from Qatar to India, if there's a problem or if there's an oil pipeline that gets blown up, you have to deal with. See, this is somewhere somebody is angry. That anger is showing up in various forms. See, there is also another news that's come that US is using some private parties to reconnect that Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Think about it for a second. US ko kya ja raha hai? What has US got to gain? Because the beneficiary is going to be Germany and Western Europe. So even as some of these guys are trying to plot against US is trying to do something good for Germany. I just can't understand it. Wheels within wheels. Really, really confusing.
Sir, the problem is not the people. I was angry because this Keir Starmer and Macron is trying to bring death and destruction to these people. That is where my problem is. Because is there some crazy fantasy in their mind or some vested interest which is making them do that? Are nuclear weapons something in the bazaar? You keep one, I will keep one. I mean, what the hell? I mean, are you kidding me? You are saying, okay, we'll distribute our nuclear weapons. And then even at your 540 nuclear warheads, Putin has 7,000. What is your match? Can you even think of your stockpile is 8% of Putin's? And delivery mechanisms for it. A couple of Orshniks are good enough to destroy you. And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself. So what are these leaders? That's why I was told today, with a lot of conviction in my command, are these leaders sold out? Who has bought them out? That's the question.
Yeah, we'll be doing a detailed analysis of what is really going on with this new initiatives of Macron and Keir Starmer. So do look for that one. It will come very soon. Ramchandran wants to know, is US, Russia, India leaders meeting possible on May 9th in Moscow to start a new global security order?
It should be done, and India should do, because look, we have to also watch for the elephant in the room. China, don't think all this is happening and China is not provoking and pulling some strings. China is pulling because the Trump is really squeezing China very, very hard. So Sree sir was referring to somebody's angry. I think it's the Xi Jinping who's very, very angry with Trump now, because he has lost Putin, he has lost business, he has lost stature, he has lost everything. The person who is losing everything was one is Khamenei, second is who?
Next one. Chaitanya Taklay wants to know, why is EU supporting Ukraine? What will they gain out of Zelensky?
That is where that is why my friend Chaitanya Taklay ji, if I have taken billions of dollars from China, China will want me to put a show, put a picture, at least create a optical illusion. Practically, Europe cannot handle Russia, all even put together. And that is what Trump said, that you are fighting an unwinnable war. And without our thing, you will be finished in 3 weeks. And I found it oxymoronic when you say, let's have a 1 month truce and then we'll talk. You want to arm Ukraine. You want to get supplies to Ukraine to keep the war on. So if you think a layman like me understands, do you think FSS doesn't understand this? Do you think Putin doesn't understand this? CIA doesn't know this. They all know it. So whom are you trying to bluff? Whose dictations are you carrying, Mr. Macron and Mr. Keir Starmer? Who is writing your scripts now? That's the question I want to ask.
Next one, please. Manga Draga wants to know, can and will Trump demand for seized Russian assets to be released to put pressure on Europe? Europe will be starved of funds they can release to Ukraine.
And in fact, Trump, you see, there are 3 things, Ranga sir. First thing is, there's a Russian ambassador to United States of America after 1.5 years. The diplomatic relations are being reworked and the embassies are going to be functional soon. Thirdly, they are talking of diluting the sanctions which Americans had put on Russia so that the trade and the commerce happens. As a part of that, if America defreezes the assets of Russia, right, I don't know when, Europeans will have no option. They have no moral ground to hold the Russian money then, right? On what basis can you hold the Russian money then?
Trump is not saying that Russia is right or Russia is wrong. He's saying just let's bring an end to this war.
Yeah.
Find a way that we can bring an end to this war, because innocent people are still getting killed. I mean, I told you, right? Yesterday, I played a video where the mothers are screaming 16-year-olds are being now compulsorily drafted into the Ukrainian army. 16-year-old boys and girls.
I mean, we covered that before also, sir.
Yeah.
60, even lower than that. Somewhere I read anybody over 14, 15 is being pulled in. If it's not necessarily age, if you are that size and stature, you might be even 14, they will pull you in. So Zelensky is getting his people killed. And Macron and Keir Starmer are playing the ball with him. I don't know why.
Karthik Viswanathan wants to know, sir, some say Keir Starmer signed deal with Ukraine in December 2024 and some say immediately after his trip from US to UK. What was signed and when it is going? Well, actually, Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury of US, had the timelines, and my information is it was signed in December 2024. September, Ukraine, this guy came to visit Trump. Zelensky came to visit Trump, and that time he said that we will do. He agreed in principle, but then Trump came to power only on 21st of December or 20th of January. Sorry. So before that, these guys have signed it.
Correct. You're right, sir. They have signed it, and at the end of the day, I believe this is not for UK. What will UK do with so much of natural earths? This is for China. Look, China wants to block the rare earths going to America. This gallium,
that is the final intent. Correct.
That is the final intent. So Trump said, okay, go to hell. I'm getting the rare earths from Ukraine, and I call Japanese because they have the refining technologies. They will refine it for me, and it will be very fast. Now, what is they trying to do? They're trying to scuttle this deal. What will UK do with these rare earths? Where is the industry in UK? What does UK produce? I mean, I don't want to use some very absurd words here, but they produce nothing. Where is your industry? What are you manufacturing? What are you good at? You're good at nothing. So, where is the industry there? So, basically, the idea is to stop America getting rare earths. So, somebody has got these two props into the play, especially Keir Starmer, to stop this. Get this deal coming here. So in the back end, they will route it again back to China. China wants to control the supply chain of rare earths. That is why Putin stepped in. Putin said, I have more rare earths than Ukraine. There are two areas. One is the part of the area which are captured from Ukraine. You can kind of mine there, or even on the mainland Russia, you are welcome to come and mine, because for mainland Russia, Putin is the ultimate authority. There's no dispute. If the American companies want to go to mainland Russia, let's say St. Petersburg or wherever in Russia, or Kazan or wherever, they can, if there are mines there and they're rare, they can go and dig there and they can mine them from there. That is why Putin was trying to help Trump, because they understand in the bigger game of things what is happening. The person who's really, really angry, sir, is Xi Jinping today. He is really, really fuming.
So, by the way, the tariffs start taking into effect from tomorrow against Mexico and Canada tomorrow. And we will be coming out with some more data on what is the tariff situation, what are the deficits that the US has run up against various countries. That's another story that will be coming out. Stay tuned for that. We're doing our best to keep up with all these changes. Lots of stuff happening.
And they're very fast, sir.
Yeah,
nowadays very fast.
Very fast.
We can catch them.
Subramanian Viswanathan wants to know, EU becoming strong militarily will not pose colonialism again to plunder wealth from others?
I think EU becoming strong militarily is not a problem, because they will have a lot of battles which they will go and buy now. I'm using the word they will go and buy now. Secondly, I think all the money and wealth which they have looted from the whole world, those colonizers, this is going to go back to the whole world. Third thing, you could do it individually. You could do it as a Spain, you could do it as a UK or as Britishers, or you could do as even the French did it, even the Portuguese did it at their own level. Now getting together and colonize, where are the core countries to colonize? There are no more countries to colonize. And today, there's a simple Balochistan model available for colonizers. I had given this idea long back. There's a simple model available in what Balochis have done to China. If Balochis can get Chinese running and shitting in their pants, these guys are a cakewalk. It's not difficult. Forget colonization. It won't happen now.
Next one, please. Mr. Bharani wants to know, what's your opinion on Rohan Mehta's MEA whistleblower about the corruption and sexual harassment allegations?
I'm not aware of this, Mr. Rohan.
I have seen that video. So, Sumit ji, I'll answer. We have to wait and see what is going on. One thing I can tell you, having seen in San Francisco, at least some from close quarters, the officials there are very, very overworked. India needs to expand the size of its consulates much more, as a general observation. But what Rohan Mehta is saying is a specific instance of what happened in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And, he has come out and said this thing. And the MEA needs to come clean with what is going on. In fact, he has accused that Dr. Jaishankar is corrupt. It's a serious set of accusations, and he has put all the data as part of that video in the description section. So you watch that video, look at the data, and then you can start making your own conclusions. So it's not something that is just like, put in the air. He has actually substantiated all his allegations with confirmed written submissions. It's all there in that video. Take a look at that. I don't want to say one way or the other. It is for the MEA to comment. Who are we? We are just outside. Subramanian Vishwanathan says, how far is it true to utilize Russia's blocked assets for Ukraine war by you? That's what is happening, Subramanian.
What is I'm saying happening? And this is a provocation to Trump. And when you are trying to put, salt and pepper on his injuries. So I've given your assets. I'm giving the money and interest of that to Zelensky to kill you. That's what I mean. Couldn't UK afford $2.8 billion? They have, though I believe still they have that much of money. Even after loot and plunder, they will have that much of money.
It's intended to pull US into the NATO. It is intended to pull US, NATO into this conflict. So US is forced to fight this whole thing. It's a mess. It's a mess. It is a mess. Yeah.
And I don't believe, Sree sir, UK doesn't have $2.8 billion. Why do you want to take Putin's money and give it to Zelensky? You have it $2.8 billion. Don't ask us a loan. We'll give you a loan on easy terms. Interest free. Ask us. Write to us. We'll give you a loan.
Look, Germany also has problems, viewers. There are lots of allegations coming of vote rigging, that AFD was denied its right, and that the two big parties. See, this is like I told you jokingly, right? It is like Congress and BJP coming together to defeat 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Something like that. Don't take it literally. All I'm saying is the left and right always combine together in Germany to form the government. How can that be? So crazy stuff. I thought now AFD has 20% of the vote, 153 seats, and the CDP has 203. Between the two of them, they have a comfortable majority. You can have a stable government. Ideology is non-left. Everything is good. You can cleanse your boundaries of all the bad elements. At least take the illegals who have committed crimes, put them out, figure out a way, and go forward. And they are not doing that. I don't know what's going on. I have a feeling this Nord Stream project is to try and get Germany off of that. So it is then France and UK. Let's see how long that will be. So there is something going on there. And also I expect something to happen in Ukraine's parliament itself. The elected MPs have a lot of power, viewers. Why do you think the MPs have to say yes before a law is passed? That is the power an MP holds. Your elected member has a lot of power. Next one, please.
She said, just one small interruption. I suspect this Progner, what was his name? Progner ka banda kaun tha? That was his name. When his plane crashed. Wagner guy.
Yeah.
Something like that might happen. One shot settlement. No appeal, no dalil, no vakil. All gone.
Wagnerian experience. Next one. Thank you, Red Baron. Jai Hind, sir. If the meeting is on May 9th, India will surely get good results. Keep calm and trust Modi. I think Red Baron is hinting about the star location, because from the 25th of March up until I think 4th of May, things are going to be really bad. Celestial positions wise. So this is something that I saw in some Jyotish post. So we'll see how it goes. Are we done? There are a couple of questions. Prigozhin is what he's saying.
Yeah,
Prigozhin,
Wagner
boss of
guy.
Wagner. Yeah. 𝗤𝗡𝗙 ji, Namaskarams. With so many things happening, it may so happen that Zelensky gets eliminated. Your views? That's not the solution. That's not the solution. There is something beyond this. You need to take a look at that video that I'm going to be putting out, because we go back to Minsk 1, Minsk 2 agreements, how both sides defaulted. It's a big mess. You need to first take a step back, look at what happened about Ukraine, how Ukraine gave up its nuclear missiles to Russia so that Russia will not attack Ukraine, and then the Minsk Accords not being implemented. It's not easy. There is so many things that kind of went wrong and right, and US constantly meddling in this. See, Trump is trying to do something. He is trying to do, there's a simple thing, okay? He's trying to bring an end to the horror.
Correct.
Logical. You will have few things here. Otherwise, there is no end.
I think
the horror continues.
I think the most important takeaway when Trump spoke to Putin for 1.5 hours on the phone was common sense. They both highlighted one word: common sense. Whatever this is happening, there's no common sense. It doesn't even meet the minimalistic parameters of common sense. So that's why they said, hey, what the hell is happening? It doesn't make sense at all.
Next one, please. Kaveri Maindan wants to know, NATO reason apart, Russia started their offensive only after Ukraine regime indulged in ethnic cleansing of minority ethnic Russians. And I think he's talking about the Donbass region, Luhansk and Donetsk. Why nobody is talking about this angle? Kaveri Maindan, do watch my video. We are trying to get everything in here. You have, like I said, right, there are lots of things, lots of moving parts, lots of broken promises, lot of broken accords. So it's not a simple thing, which is why I am saying, without taking sides, without showing I'm your friend, I'm your enemy, first let's bring an end to this horror.
Even if you see one important aspect of it, sir, Putin has made a statement. He said Crimea was most vital for Russia's security, and you were trying to put those missiles and all in Crimea. So when Russia decided to go and capture Crimea, this was for the strategic interests of Russia, because ideally you were now trying to encircle Russia with NATO, and that was your biggest problem. So we have to look at the problem conceptually, what deep state and Democrats have been always trying to do. That is where the problem where when do the Democrats start and where does the deep state end, or where does the deep state start and where Democrats end? We don't know that. That is where the classical, these are all, the fruits of that problem. These are all the toxic fruits of that problem, what we're seeing today.
Next one, please. Amandeep wants to know, it seems left EU and UK are purposely pushing Russia into China camp. Same formula applying for India as well.
Honestly, this can be partially true, because after you see the UK has gone crazy after Putin and Trump have started talking, and India is kind of been maintaining its neutrality, which is the right way to do, because both the sides are friends. So now the people who are really rattled, which we have been even covering in our Endgame China series on every Sunday, is the Chinese Communist Party. So they might be propagating them. They're trying to somehow ferment the trouble to keep the trouble away from South China Sea. But Trump knows it. If you have to squeeze China, you have to do the salami slicing of their economy and make sure the trouble hovers around the South China Sea. So Trump is trying for that. It's very sure he's right. And these people are using all these props to deflect the problem from there and take it there. So the biggest nightmare of Xi Jinping, which I've been always saying, is that between Putin and Xi, there's one problem. Both don't trust each other. You know why? Because everybody thinks who will gravitate to America first. So here Putin took the lead because he's a much experienced leader.
Ananta Venkatesan wants to know, Sumit sir, I feel similarities between Erdogan and Zel, who has both burned the bridges from the West and the East. God bless them.
These leaders are absolutely great. Look, Erdogan had nothing. Ukraine had a lot of fertile land, beautiful country, well-educated people, hard-working people, and these people were supplying you the majority of the wheat. Ukraine had, being a small country with its resources, land, people, education and all, it was becoming a player in the world economy, right? An important player. This comedian has devastated anything and everything what Ukraine always was known for. This is the reality of life. And Erdogan, Erdogan is an Islamist. Islamists work like that. They sell this churran of Islam and they talk about, today if Asim Munir is asked about anything, he starts reciting the ayats from Quran. So there's not a lot of difference. If Erdogan will remember ayats from Quran, he will also say that. So there's not a lot of difference between these Islamists. Islamists use Islam to keep people at bay and to have a nice, good life. How many palaces does Erdogan have? A lot of palaces. How many plush bungalows does Erdogan have? And you know how many thousand people protect Erdogan? He's most protected person on planet Earth today. I think second or first in the top 3 because he has thousands of men which he has deployed for his personal security. It's more than the SPGA, which I know for sure, which protects Modi.
Ramchandran wants to know, Europe still controls SWIFT. What is the alternative?
No, there are intermediary banks, and now which are you can. It's SWIFT is still controlled by America.
America, I thought so. Yeah,
it's not Europe. And if you look at the intermediary banks, there are 2: JP Morgan or Chase Manhattan. They are the 2 major intermediary banks which are used in any SWIFT. So if Americans want, they can take out Europe out of that, and there's not a practically lot of difference. Look, Europe is important when it comes dealing with Africa. You go through a lot of European countries because Europe still has influence in Africa. Minus that, Europe has influence nowhere. If somebody comes and steps in those shoes, right, where the European influence is, what is Europe? Europe is a good, I call them the big Amsterdam of the world. You know what Amsterdam represents.
Thank you so much, Sumit. This was a excellent session because we got to cover and touch upon so many different moving parts in this big thing. I have a feeling it will sort itself out in the next couple of days because this is not tenable.
This is not tenable.
Europe needs US and US needs Europe. And I think something is going to happen quickly. Let's just wait because there's a tweet by Trump. By tomorrow night, wait and see what happens or something like that. A silent Trump is a very dangerous Trump. So let's wait and see what Trump card is going to play next. Namaskar.
I think what I've been always saying, I love to say this again, when we wake up in the morning, sir, we don't know where the geopolitics of the world has changed because there's one person who is the ramjet engine of the geopolitics, Donald John Trump. I don't know which way he will, and he's hypersonic. Huh? You cannot protect, kahin bhi jayega. You cannot. So morning we wait and we say, oh, wow, parameters are changed. All the theories, all the hypotheses is gone. I was talking to a businessman, I think in my advisory yesterday. He said, I want to do this. I said, sir, hold on, because I can't predict anything. Tomorrow morning, what Trump will say and do will change a lot of things around you. And you will not even know what hit you. And nobody can predict that today. But one thing I'm very happy about, then in this, rather than this, in this position of policy paralysis, this global policy paralysis, with Islamists and jihadis were trying to block the whole world in the name of Palestine. Things have changed. I give this credit to the Trump. He has changed the notion. He has changed the geopolitics. Otherwise, it was all Palestine. Remember how many episodes we were talking about Palestinian protest here, Palestine blocking university, blocking roads, blocking bridges. Those wogs and those leftists, they were literally taking the world to ransom. At least some hardcore, constructive and positive steps are being taken. Let's hope and pray good sense prevails. And Mr. Macron and Mr. Starmer, whatever your compulsions are, but don't betray your people and your future generations. That is my request to you. On that note, we're going to take your leave, and we hope you will continue your love, support and patronage, which we get from you. Bharat Mata ki jai, Vande Mataram, Hara 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 Mahadev.